Shopify, part of it's learning how to bounce back after that 0-1 start to this series. 100 Thieves looking pretty good. Yeah, the bottom lane was a bit of a snafu there early on with the level 1 going tragic, but man, it didn't really lead to them bleeding out anywhere, and they were able to establish a massive lead through River and Quid.
Yep, playing it pretty damn well. Quid and River back to their old tricks, and Dhokla, honestly, still pretty good debut game. You know, Fudge did get the better of him in these, you know, kind of key moments. You know, was able to take him down in a couple of opportunities, but I just like that Dhokla came out and was actually playing aggressive, always had the push, was trying to threaten, trying to make plays happen.
Yeah.
And Bvoy and Seos, I do think they played quite well in that first game, but despite the big early advantage that they built, it was not enough at the end of the day, and 100 Thieves got their first win of the split, so can be pretty happy to get that off of their back, you know, not having to worry about going winless, you know, in the pick and play phase. Obviously, they had some really tough opponents, right? So if you can come out here, and especially if they can 2-0, whether it's cope or not, you can kind of just say, everything's fixed. You know, like Dhokla's here, we swept, it's no problem. Like, yeah, sure, we lost those other teams, but now we're a new team. And you can kind of like rebuild some of your confidence. So I do think it would be very big for 100 Thieves if they are able to actually get a win.
Well, right now, we are getting a mid lane matchup that you almost never get because one of these champions, if not both, is almost always banned, but it will be Azir versus Yone in the mid lane for this one. 100 Thieves first picking the Azir after banning out the Lucian, Trundle, and Poppy. Shopify Rebellion answer immediately with a Yone of their own after banning out the Varus, the Pantheon, and the Vi. Maokai also locked in there for the jungle, and I think in particular, Shopify fans are going to be looking at Contractz to have a better performance this game than last one because it felt like his Xin was just invisible in game 1.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I will say, to me, when I think of Palafox, I generally think of his melee champions as being some of his best ones. You know, think of that kind of like aggressive play style that they did have. His Yone is one of his highest win rate champs. And when I'm actually looking at champions with, you know, in his top 10 or so, Yone is the one with the highest win rate, 62.5% win rate, 16 games played, is higher than every champion that he has more games on. So definitely is something that he has done well on. And when you're pairing that alongside the Maokai, definitely is going to be quite effective. You have that lockdown, you have the point and click CC, and look at all this dive now, Ambessa being added in. So you can have that point and click CC from the Maokai ult that can set up for the public execution, for the Fate Seal, for all of these ultimates and follow through that is going to be there to try to dive on Quid and take him out.
And if we're talking about iconic champions, man, River on Jarvan, when this guy first joined the league a couple years back, it was just Jarvan game after Jarvan game, absolutely terrorizing the Rift, constantly finding plays, constantly creating movements. And I love watching him on this champion because he's so aggressive and he's so good at playing the way that Jarvan should be played.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to me, it's always been his most iconic champion. He came in, like you said, on Dig. And it was kind of like, if he wasn't having, you know, like an absolute goated Jarvan game, they weren't winning.
Does River 1v9 on Jarvan?
Yes.
If no, you lose.
Exactly. That's kind of how it felt. And I always find it so impressive when people can come in a tough situation on a team that is not winning a lot and still shine.
Yeah.
It is very hard to do. And I think that is one of the things that really made people stand up and notice River and say, hey, this guy's actually so good at playing around vision, at tracking where enemies, you know, would expect you to be, where wards are being placed. Because when your team is losing and when you have losing lanes, generally there's a lot of vision in your jungle. So you have to be so creative with your pathing at finding these avenues of attack. And that's something that River has always been so good at.
All right, second half of the bans are all potentially bottom lane carries. We've got the Senna, the Sivir, the Kai'Sa all banned away. Alongside that, Ziggs. Ezreal will be the fourth pick there for Shopify, and it's a fast double lock for 100 Thieves with the Jhin and the Bard.
Yeah, that's actually kind of crazy. 6 bans down towards the bot laners. Plus, we obviously have the 2 from that previous game, so we are getting pushed down fairly far, but it is Ezreal versus Jhin at the end of the day. It is really hard to push 80 carries to a place where you're like, whoa, that's weird, because
unless you get to like a game 5, but we're in a best of 3
even
phase.
then they're playing like Zeri and Jinx or Caitlyn or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or Ashe. Like, there's so many that, yes, you're not going to be quite on that S tier, but they're not kind of like being pushed into a weird style of play like some other roles sometimes are.
There's no weird garbage, right? We're not getting Vladimir bottom or anything like that where you're just kind of scratching your head like, wait, what's that? But okay, last pick of the draft is going to be the Alistar for Seos. So normally when we talk about how Shopify gets leads and gets wins, a big part of it that we just beat to death is Seos roaming around with Contractz, these two being like the two-man hit squad that just sets up plays, makes things happen. There's a great amount of setup between Alistar and Maokai. There is 0 damage between Alistar and Maokai. So they'll be able to show up. They'll be able to show up out of nowhere and just pummel you with sock'em boppers. It's never going to hurt. So they're going to need somebody else to be a part of that gank squad if they want to find success here.
You give them enough time, and if they're determined enough, they can kill somebody with spoon flowers.
Okay, well, if
you can make it happen.
If the other guy unplugs his keyboard and sits there for 12 seconds, yes, Maokai and Alistar will eventually kill him.
And I am kind of expecting it to be AP for Contractz here, because I think it's actually a game where AP makes sense, because it was going to be solo AP, right? So you can actually have that poke, make it pretty annoying for people to approach some of these objectives. But that being said, I wouldn't be mad at it if he's still just going to play tank at the end of the day, because there are some pretty beefy members on the 100 Thieves side to clear out some of these saplings. And when you're approaching an objective, Dhokla can just walk through with the Soul Furnace. River can walk through with his W up as well. And some level 1 spice once again. Both teams kind of just scrapping back and forth actually on 2 sides as the Bard has moved in and was fighting the Alistar as well.
Summoner Spellbook here for both of our supports, so we'll get to see some hopefully creative use of those different summoner swaps. Palafox steps forward, takes a little bit of damage from Eyla, but again, nothing super serious. The junglers still having a bit of a stare down here with some emotes back and forth. And it looks like we're not going to get much more than that, as River is still trying to annoy Contractz as much as he can, but it's really not going to matter. Maokai has so much sustain in the kit, you just farm up. The chickens are pretty much a gas station for health.
Yeah, it's not going to be a concern whatsoever, and River knows it, wants to just kind of have that really late ward. That's really why he's staying around there, just to drop that ward as late as possible. And there was no ward on where River is going to be starting, because that's one of the advantages that they had. That's why 100 Thieves is kind of moving out so aggressively. Bard is pushing in on one side, and they're pushing in on the other. Now Fudge gets a very late ward because they know we need to get some sort of eyes on River here. And they are going to eventually be able to find out where he is. Of course, they know that he's starting bot side at the very least.
Okay, a little bit of damage here on the Bvoy. FBI and Eyla do not want to be the receiving end of the level 1 death this time around. They are going to go ahead and use the early power of the Jhin and the Bard. Of course, Seos and Bvoy.
And I honestly am never mad at these early heals. When you're just take this really early scrap, you go forward, use the heal for the move speed, try to take that fight. But the barrier got no value at all from FBI there. He wasn't actually being hit during it. Maybe in his mind, he's saying, I press the barrier so you can't attack back or something like that. But I feel like you can at least hold that barrier until he turns to auto-attack you, or until Mystic Shot's about to hit you or whatever to get the guaranteed value. Not the biggest deal, but it is something. And since Bvoy is playing teleport here, you want to make sure you are dominating, the push. You have to be keeping this guy locked in, because if Ezreal can ever get the push in this matchup, then he's going to be able to base, TP back, and kind of lane lock you for a really long time. So that is kind of the trade-off here. But thus far, utilizing this Bard as expected, you should always get the push against Alistar. Alistar level 1 is just not a champion. Like, you pretty much need level 3.
Yeah. He doesn't do anything. But all right, checking in on the mid lane here with our tri-lane camera. We're going to see this matchup with the Azir versus Yone. Again, I mentioned it in the draft. I feel like you almost never see this head-to-head these days with the state of Fearless, with the state of the fact that both these champions are so powerful. They're almost never left open at the same time, available through Fearless at the same time. But this time around, Quid's Azir versus Palafox on the Yone. Even in the past when Palafox has not been at the height of his performance, his Yone has been one of the champions that he will still pull out a really strong showing on. And I think for Shopify, that's exactly what you want to bounce back from the game 1.
Yeah, absolutely. And Palafox has talked about how oftentimes, if his individual performance isn't showing up, it's because he's playing for the team, right? It's because he's trying to facilitate the team or he's giving things up for the team. Well, this is not the kind of champion that you want to do that on, right?
No.
Yone needs to be the main character. Exactly. Like, you are useless if you are not, right? You're not the champion to go down a lot of CS or a lot of gold and still have an impact here. So we want to see Palafox play for himself. Show us what you can get done with a draft that is going to help to facilitate you, because really it's going to be all about, can they pull off this dive effectively to take down, I think specifically Quid, but also FBI. This Azir is going to be a problem if your dive is really not on point. He's going to be able to disengage with the ult, shift back to safety, and then the consistent damage there is going to be very tough to deal with. Any sort of lockdown comes through on the Ambessa, on the Yone. and the Azir is going to make short work of them alongside the Jhin.
All right, let's see what we've got here now that lanes are switching around. Bvoy and Seos were the second swap as FBI and Eyla made their way up to the top side first and foremost. First Dragon still 30 seconds away from spawning. It's control over the bottom side, River, in terms of vision for Shopify Rebellion, but it's River who is around the area right now. Palafox trying to use that Soul Unbound to go aggressive towards Quid, but he misses the Q3, so immediately has to snap back, and Quid maintains control over the mid lane wave.
Yep, Quid is going to have that push going. Palafox has been able to keep up in the farm, and that's really all you can ask for in these early matchups here. But then, you know, as Palafox starts getting some more gold, let's see a bit of a aggressive fight here. Looks like this should be able to back it off. As you start getting some more gold, this matchup starts getting better and better for you because basically you can go in with the Soul Unbound, and at a certain point, Azir basically has to disengage your basic ability with his ultimate, or he just takes too bad of a trade, right? And then once he hits that point, he disengages with the ultimate. Then you can actually just go, next time your E is up, you go and you look for the full all-in with the Fate sealed. And Azir has to start playing very, very defensively at that point. And you ult and then you just base, and you kind of keep having this kind of really bad pattern for the Azir. So we'll see if Palafox can get to that point, as he is now going to finally take his first base, and should be a pretty good buy as a result of it being pretty late.
Yep, he'll go ahead and grab the level 1 boots, Vamp Scepter for some sustain, extra refillable for the same purpose, as it looks like Bvoy and Seos might be in a bit of a tough spot here. Big Dokes charging in with the Sion ulti, but he misses as Seos flashes away from it. A little bit more damage as River tries to follow up. Seos taken low, but not dead just yet. 100 Thieves with a sloppy dive, completely missed the mark. And Bvoy and Seos make them look silly. FBI is going to be killed for first blood. Palafox jumping in on the Yone, and 100 Thieves are regretting this decision.
Yeah, really well played there by Seos and Bvoy, but that was a mess from 100 Thieves.
Yeah.
You know, the flash being used on Dhokla's ultimate, that's not Dhokla's fault. That's completely fine. But then you need to have your tanky members actually picking up the tower aggro after, because off of that, it went on FBI. And then FBI has his 4-shot ready, but he has to run away with the 4-shot because the tower is onto him. So Seos uses the flash. I feel like Dhokla should have just stayed in, tanking at this point. Maybe he didn't mean to walk that far out, but then once this goes on to FBI, you can see FBI's put down to basically no health, has to walk out with the 4-shot, can't even be involved, then gets picked up off of the roam.
Oh, but meanwhile, we're right back into the fight up here on the top side. Seos surely dies here. FBI picks that one up. So 100 Thieves, they missed the mark the first time, but the second time's the charm, and they'll tie this game up 1-1.
Yeah, going to be able to get the kill in the 2v2, and I have to assume Bvoy and Seos just didn't actually base after that play. It looked like they maybe stayed out and tried to greed pushing out the wave, and then got caught because the buy was not there yet for Bvoy. He was still just on that glowing moat. They're going to double TP back to lane as Seos was able to spell book over that. And so here is the setup on the play. Yeah, exactly. This is what happened. Greed is a deadly sin. You always want to push out those waves, but sometimes you just don't get to. And when you stay around with no buy here, well, even though it got close, they know we can just keep running at you. The 100 Thieves bot lane realize even if the fight doesn't go that well for them, like you have the buy, they do not. He was on tabbies versus a glowing moat. Ezreal just doesn't have enough damage.
Whenever I see glowing moat, I had a conversation with Kobe back when that item first got added to the game, and I can always still hear his voice in my head. Bro, that thing is ass. He does not like buying that.
It's the worst component maybe ever in League of Legends, I feel like.
It's 5 ability haste. It is almost entirely useless in terms of a purchase. Like, it just does not have much impact, so it definitely feels bad if that's the only thing in your inventory, as Eyla's going to feel even worse now, getting caught out. Bvoy and Seos doing the damage to make this a 2-1 game.
The moat has upgraded. It has become the sheen.
Now it's truly glowing.
Yeah, the moat has left the cocoon, and now it's flying bravely around. As Seos looking for a dive here. FBI in some trouble. I don't know where I was going with that. Yeah, I expected you to have something funny to say afterwards.
No, dude, I didn't.
And you just hung me out to dry.
I was thinking of those silly Pokemon that are like the bugs that you find in the forest. Yeah, like the Butterfrees that are good for the entirety of the first gym, and then they're garbage even once they're fully evolved. Like, that's the glowing mode. Meanwhile, curtain call opens up. Seos and Bvoy got to be a little bit careful here, but they're turning it around rather nicely. River drops, and the feat of warfare is claimed by Shopify Rebellion. FBI's not going to get anybody back just yet, and Shopify have control over the grub pit, as that first one is about to fall, smited away by Contractz. Quid looking to jump forward here with a blast cone, but that was a bad blast cone. He's caught in the middle of everybody, gets a nice shuffle backwards, stays alive. Seo's barely keeping on as he walks away. Shopify still with more men in the area, maintain control. They only have the one grub, and 100 Thieves fights him off for now, but it's still a positive play for the Rebellion.
Yeah, that blast cone made me really nervous for Quid. That was not a good blast cone, as you said. Went in and ends up kind of face checking the brush. Thankfully for him, he does survive. Almost takes down Seos. There's still one grub up and available, but River is down on that bottom side. And in the meanwhile, FBI really didn't have an angle to get involved, so he just kept pushing. So was able to shove this up. The game very close, despite the couple kills in the lead for Shopify. Only 600 gold in their advantage, but they did get a grub and they did get a dragon. So they're going to be feeling pretty happy about that. No one got... So only one grub got taken? I thought I could have sworn I only saw one grub in the pit. Am I crazy?
Nope, it's just the one grub that got taken. The other two stayed alive.
I guess the other one must have been angry and ran out or something.
Yeah, I think that they were aggroed for quite a long time based on how the fight went. But yeah, there's still two of them left alive.
So no one gets credit then, because you need 2 grubs to be able to actually get progression towards the objectives feat.
But there is still, 4.5 minutes left on the timer before the Herald is going to take over the pit. So I highly doubt that those grubs will get to see
They're not safe.
A peaceful end of life. It's not going to be sailing into the sunset.
Yeah. The grubs rarely get to die, at peaceful death.
Yeah, natural cause. Exactly. There's no such thing as natural causes for grubs.
No.
Everybody's after those
horrible,
grubs.
really.
Yeah,
it's never surrounded by their family. Just
no, it's always a rough life and a rougher death for the grubs. You're born as a grub. You look in the mirror every day and you're like, damn man, I don't look very good. And then you got to get your ass beat by somebody who's way stronger than you.
You're flaming their looks too? Come on,
dude,
man.
I'm sorry. The grubs are ugly. Like in a world of dragons and barons and cool-looking monsters.
I feel like they're kind of like ugly cute, no?
Nah, I think they're just ugly, man. Like that's.
They got.
You
come
think
on,
our grub
come on,
is
chat.
cute? No, man, that thing is ugly as sin. Look at him. His teeth are crooked. They come out of the sides of his mouth.
He's got the googly eyes,
No, dude, he is ugly. River is putting him out of his misery.
It's kind of like when a movie is so bad it becomes great. They're so ugly they have become cute because it resets the scale.
Right. It's like if something has less than
fall off the bottom of the scale and you end back up at the top.
Less than a 10 on Rotten Tomatoes is the same as more than a 90.
You know what we need to watch is the new War of the Worlds movie.
Oh, I've heard it's terrible.
It debuted on Rotten Tomatoes for a 0%.
A 0?
0%.
Okay, that's pretty bad. Let's see how 100 Thieves can debut in this team fight. That was they have control over the bot side. River Seos already popping the ghost there with the Summoner Spellbook. And it looks like we're not going to get a fight at all. Okay, so this is not an action movie. We're still setting up the plot.
Yep, still the drama. It's the part where we're setting up why they need to fight,
Okay, all right. I can do with a little bit of narrative, a little bit of story building.
Like John Wick, when they kill his dog. Then you're fully down for him to murder everybody.
Right. We need the 15 minutes of setup and story so that we can have the hour and a half of John Wick shooting.
Yeah, exactly.
Very
fully
important.
Justified to kill hundreds of people. They killed his dog. It's fair.
Hey, that's the dog.
Fair is fair.
Crossing the line's crossing the line.
Crossing the line's crossing the line. You get what's coming.
Well, let's see if 100 Thieves can get anything here, as they are still slightly behind in this game. It is 1-1 on objective since they did get 2 out of 3 of those grubs. River is going to go ahead and start up the Drake here, but there is a ward from Shopify in the pit. They can see that 100 Thieves is doing it, and they can see that they're doing it very slowly. Contractz and Seos going to go ahead and step up here. Contractz does have that Leandries fully completed here on the Maokai, and since Shopify has a lead, it looks like 100 Thieves is saying, all right, discretion's the better part of valor. We're not confident in this fight, and it's not worth the risk.
Yep, not going to go for anything crazy there, and we'll just give it up. But that does mean second objective. So if they can get even one more grub, they actually get...
Well, the grubs are taken.
Excuse me, yeah, they both got taken. So they will have to wait for Herald or next Dragon, but then that would be the feats of strength for them, since they did get the first 3 kills as well. And you can see Dhokla having the push here one more time.
All right, let's see what we actually end up getting in terms of action, because it seems like both teams are pretty happy just chilling right now, farming up, continuing to scale. You do have the Tempered Fate available from Eyla, and whenever Bard is in the game, we're talking about Rift Herald being the next neutral objective that's available. Rift Herald is far less effective against Bard if the Bard is paying attention and is in the right area at the right time, because it's so easy to nullify the charge.
It really is, but I will say the new Herald where you can drive it is slightly more effective. I have seen a few times where people, look like they're going for the charge. The Bard throws down the Tempered Fate, and then they just drive it to another lane. It's hard to sometimes have the distance to get all the way there and get a crash, but can be pretty cool. But yeah, either way, Bard really effective against it. But I want to talk a little bit more about Dhokla. This guy,
Okay.
if you're new to the scene, you may not realize how long his history has been in the scene. I think back to Dhokla, on Optic Gaming, and I was joking with him. I always think of him playing York because I always liked York, and no one played this champ. And when he was on Optic, he brought it out, but was also part of course, that famous Energy roster that did win in 2023 summer. Then went on to absolutely destroy G2 at Worlds and begin a new prosperous era where NA always dunks on EU.
My hand still has a desk mark on it from that series. I was having the time of my life.
Broken Blade is broken in half. That's a great call.
I was pretty happy with it. But honestly, 100 Thieves, I'm sure they would be pretty happy to try to do a reprise of that. Maybe try to make a run, try to make a sequel, if you will. But let's see what we get out of this Rift Herald, because I haven't seen enough PvP so far in this game, Isaac. I feel like 1-3 is a pretty shy scoreline for these two teams with how scrappy things were in game number 1. And as Palafox is going to have to go ahead and snap back to Soul Unbound, as River was showing up, meant that if he gets the chance to get the engage there, Quid would obviously have the damage to follow up, as Bvoy has to arcane shift away, get to safety. Compared to the range of FBI, as now River knocked up in the air, goes for the Cataclysm here with the Contractz. FBI opens up the curtain call. River's about to die here first. He's barely getting away. The last little bit of damage finds him. A Contractz will also fall. Fudge jumps in the middle of everybody here with a teleport, but he's going to be contained for now. Palafox jumps in with a fake seal, does not find a target. Shopify on the run. Nice deadly flourish. Locks up the enemy mid laner as Palafox has to flash back over the wall. Bvoy disengaging too. Shopify Rebellion, they go 1-for-1 against 100 Thieves in the fight, but their health bars are so much lower. Fudge now stepping back forward, ready to scrap with Dhokla, but 100 Thieves will take control of the fight.
Yeah, the health bars are a lot lower, but also they spent 4 flashes in that fight, and it was a losing fight there. The only person still with their summoner spell remaining is Bvoy, who didn't have to use the flash. We can see this one more time as they go for this initial engage. Eyla, it's a bit of a whiff on the ulti, unfortunately, for him, but he is able to come in and help to delay that kill onto River. And as Fudge arrives, again, 100 Thieves have actually marked the teleport. They turn on to Fudge immediately. He has to flash straight out of there. And then FBI is able to have a really nice sidestep on the ulti coming in through for Palafox. Flash forward from Dhokla, forces the response flash over the wall there by Palafox. And it is just 100 Thieves winning the fight. They do lose the jungler, but get so much more out of this. And it's going to be tough now, especially when you are playing these all-in comps with lots of melee champs. You rely on those flashes to be able to get in and actually take out FBI and Quid. And when they have their flash and you do not have yours to follow, it is going to be really tough to contest, so they're just going to have to give up the Herald.
I mean, you pointed it out in game number 1. A big thing that 100 Thieves was doing so well was marking teleports and decisively going after them. It looks like they're doing it again here in game number 2, as Palafox finds a lot of damage onto Eyla, but not enough to threaten a kill. Oh, that was real close with a true shot barrage.
Yeah, very close. Bvoy almost took him down. And Bvoy lost his flash somewhere, so that actually happened post-fight, I think, when we were watching the replay. So,
and it's synced up with the teleport. So again, it looks like it might have been a situation where he TPs in, the flash is then spent as the TP lands.
Yeah, I'm curious what happened there.
Yeah, hopefully we can get a replay and see exactly how that got spent. Okay, here we go. Shoot minion.
Oh, probably when he tried to walk over maybe for the ulti or something like that. But yeah, Dhokla's in the side lane. Nice deadly flourish there from FBI. They get in, and he actually flashed the decimating smash.
The deadly flourish there was good. Back in the previous team fight, it was FBI's curtain call sniping Seos down that was able to, or not Seos, excuse me, sniping Contractz down before Seos was able to block the bullet. So good aim so far from the Jhin for FBI. As we do have the Herald summoned up, River is driving it. Driving it, kablam! Takes down the tier 1 turret, and 100 Thieves will be happy with that one.
Yeah, at least in the meantime for Shopify, we had Fudge pushing on bot side, so they got feats confirmed here as they do have those upgraded boots. He's just going to drive it over to the Dragon, and 6 man showing up here.
Exactly, but the fight has already started. Fudge isolated from the rest of the battle as Seos is knocked down to half HP, but he still has the unbreakable will. 100 Thieves turning their attention back over to the river, back over towards the Drake as they have it down to 3,000 HP. Fourth shot, going to take it low enough to smite it down. Seos gets caught out by the deadly flourish there as Big Dopes is ready to follow it up, and FBI goes in a killing spree. It's a Drake plus a kill for the side of 100 Thieves.
Yeah, nicely done. They actually had Seos so low that by the time he finally used the unbreakable will, he was looking pretty breakable. He was so low on health. that he does just get taken down. I mean, Eyla even threw the Ignite on him early, trying to chunk him incredibly low.
It was an unbreakable won't. Seos is not walking away from that one. The Alistar drops for the second time this game, and 100 Thieves will happily stop the soul stacking. They will not allow Shopify to get to that critical soul point status. And honestly, it's another game. Remember that in game number 1, we never saw a gold lead bigger than 1,000 until about 21, 22 minutes into the game. 100 Thieves then wins a big fight. They end up taking the lead, and the game quickly snowballs from there. This game also staying very, very close for the first 20 minutes.
It is really close, but I'm kind of concerned a bit about the game state for Shopify when I'm looking over and I'm realizing, okay, it's going to be hard to get through Dhokla, and then you already have the Seekers picked up early here by Quid, which is going to make him really difficult to knock down. FBI is positioning pretty far back, you know, goes for the Ghost Blade as well as the Rapid Fire, which is kind of like the stay alive type items, move fast and shoot from far away. So it is going to be tough to actually get in and get on them. And if your engage is too telegraphed, like if you're going to full send everything, flash, you know, ulti from Palafox, ulti from Fudge, everything in on the back line, as long as Eyla is on it, you can actually just defensively ult that and reset the fight off of that Bartle. So we'll see how Shopify are going to be able to actually make this work. They definitely have the opportunity to try to find that perfect engage and blow open a fight, but if you don't have that perfect engage, I do feel like I really favor 100 Thieves comp.
Bvoy is very strong right now, though, on the Ezreal, does have 100% kill participation, is at the big 2-item power spike of the Trinity Force with the fully evolved Muramana, and I feel like if Shopify wants to try to get a lead, if they want to try to force themselves ahead here at this critical juncture, it's got to be off of playing around Bvoy.
Yeah, I mean, Bvoy has just been a pretty big star for the team. You know, I do think he has been quite consistent. You know, even in their loss last week, it felt like he was, you know, a really big part of their threat to win. They did, of course, win the series, but did drop one game to DSG, and I know they weren't super happy about how that series went, despite the victory at the end of the day here.
All right, Shopify do not want to allow 100 Thieves to have total control over this topside river. They do not want to allow them to establish vision as Eyla goes on a magical journey back through the terrain, stays safe. We've got ourselves a good old-fashioned stare down here, my friend. Palafox jumping in there with the Soul Unbound. Gets an advantageous trade onto River. Actually nearly kills River off entirely. Fudge wanted to go for the public execution, but River steps away. Shopify Rebellion. Ooh. They try to get the snipe there with a true shot barrage. Bvoy trying to think ahead, figure out where River would have stepped off to, but River does stay close enough that it does not matter. But now he's still at about 10% HP. Shopify Rebellion is already starting up the Otacon. They've got it down to half. 100 Thieves move in, looking to stop them. Palafox, 2/3 HP. Curtain Call opens up. Otacon down to 4,000. Seos tanking up here in the very front of the fight. Fudge rejoins with the teleport. Dhokla on the front line. Otacon down to 2,000. Gonna be secured by Contractz. Dhokla jumps into everybody, but it's Palafox into the back line. Shopify Rebellion find an absolutely massive fight. They'll kill 3. They'll take the Otacon, and that's exactly what they needed.
Yeah, huge engage there from Palifox. Quid not able to flash it, not able to Zhonya's it. And Eyla was flashing forward, looking for a binding of his own. He gets caught up with Quid. They both get burst down. It was always going to be a really tough fight for them in this 4v5 because River had been chunked out. They immediately start the Otacon. They know Jungler is not here. We can rush this down. The Bard ulti comes through to just try to delay for River to hopefully get there. FBI has really good positioning. Dhokla is tanking them up, but then look at this moment right here. Eyla flashes forward, looks for the binding, can't find it. Q3 into that Fate Sealed. And the Azir just gets 100-0 there. Knocked down with his Bard that was already low on HP. Great engage from Palafox. Finds the angle to knock down Quid and Eyla and secure that big fight win.
Palafox's Yone was definitely Yoneing. He was the one who caught out the Jarvan beforehand. He was the one who finds the massive engage. He did, if you total all the damage on 100 Thieves together, it's about as much as the Yone did in the previous fight. So big performance there from Palafox. You said early on in the game, that's what he has to be. If you're locking in this character, you need to have the mentality of an anime protagonist. The show is about you. The credits are your highlights. This is your game, and so far, that's what he's doing. But it's still only a 1,000 gold lead for Shopify Rebellion. They have about twice that much overall, considering the adaptive force from the flower bonus they have. But still, 100 Thieves have a chance to fight back. We'll see how the fight goes. It's the True Shot Barrage, not going to find anything. Mystic Shots not hitting a lot of targets here either. Palafox with the Q3 ready to jump over the wall if he needs to. Eyla down to half HP. Contractz looking to control the River here still, as River himself knocked down to 40% here too. There's your Maokai ultimate. Shopify Rebellion have total control over the bot side river, and 100 Thieves are having to try to get away. Big Dokes brought down to size as Palafox dives into the back line yet again. Quid trying to get away. Nice shuffle, but it only hits Zeos. Meanwhile, public execution from Fudge. Double kill for the Yone. Fudge makes it number 3, and 100 Thieves are getting stomped on.
Yeah, really well done again by Shopify. Just constantly poking and prodding, chipping down 100 Thieves before they're able to actually enter and contest that dragon. At the end of the day, Shopify don't even finish it because they turn for the fight, but they can return to the dragon and grab it now here. And 100 Thieves slowly starting to fall out of contention, it feels like, in this game. The stasis was timed well from Quid on that hard engage, but again, it's about Palafox going over the wall here. He preps the Q3, he gets this chunk in on the river. At this point, you know, okay, well, 100 Thieves probably aren't really going for the dragon, but they're kind of hanging around. Quid is saying, can I find an angle here? Can I find something? Dhokla does get rooted up. He's cleansed out by that Mikhail's. Then as Palafox goes in, good stasis timing here from Quid, but it still means Eyla is dead. Zeus is in the middle of everyone, and as Fudge comes through, public execution in on a river, he's nailing him. Bvoy was over the wall in that Raptors pit, finding mystic shot after mystic shot. And you can see a little bit of stress there, it felt like, on Ayla's face as, yeah, this game starting to slip away from them.
I mean, honestly, the dragon that 100 Thieves got earlier was critical, because if Shopify Rebellion has Mountain Soul right now, I feel like this game is completely over.
Oh, yeah.
It's already mostly over. Shopify is in a massive advantage in the current state of the game, but if there was Mountain Soul already, I'm calling GG.
Yeah, totally. I mean, Palafox now in that side lane has a 2-level advantage currently over Dhokla. He's about to hit 14, but Palafox is about to hit 16. And tanks versus Yone in the side lane, you just do not hurt him.
Yep, Yone just buffering through the decimating smash there. Fate Sealed, very powerful ability, and Palafox is just going to keep on pushing. He does not care. He has the shield bow, he has the Blade of the Ruined King, he has everything he needs to keep his presence down there in the bottom lane. FBI, though, saved by this Tempered Fate, trying to get away! Followed by Contractz, who doesn't quite have enough damage. The last Bramble Smash won't kill him off, but the public execution from Fudge gets the job done. Fudge in danger now, tanking the turret damage. Quid needs a little bit more, and he finally gets one back. Shopify Rebellion playing very far forward, but is it actually an overextension? Quid getting a lot of damage here on a Bvoy. Dhokla still looking maybe for an angle as River jumps forward and Bvoy flashes away. Low health bars on both sides, but it's so hard for 100 Thieves to move forward.
Yeah, River looking for the re-engage there. Actually got both of the bot laners' flashes. They were really nervous, I think, about a potential EQ flash coming out from River, and immediately both flashed away as soon as they saw him coming through. Big shutdown did go the way of Quid, so that was about 700 and something gold put in his pockets, but this side lane is going to be so difficult to answer. You don't want Azir laning against the Yone, but at the same time, Sion is not having fun with this either. You trade back as much as you can, but every wave, Palafox goes back to full health, and you do not.
Once Yone is at full build, aka Vamp Scepter and Berserker Grief, nobody wants to lane against Yone. He's a very difficult opponent to deal with. And Dhokla's experiencing that right now. Palafox just slashing him to pieces. Now ready to try to get back away as the curtain call is opened up. Second shot misses, third shot misses. Decimating smash ain't gonna matter because Fate Sealed can escape the maximum range and Palafox gets away.
At the very least, they do get his ult out there, but still nicely done by Palafox, just pushing constantly through these side lanes, being annoying. Quid has had the Zonias ready for a bit, and likely going back to complete his Leandry, so he's going to be on 3 items here, but Palafox has got to be sitting on a ton of gold, you have to think.
Jay, a little bit of a problem here for River, although he might just be able to turn it around. Fudge has to try to escape now, just barely tries to get away, but the Tempered Fate catches him. River with a nice timing. EQ combo catches Fudge unawares, and now with the enemy top laner down, 100 Thieves sees their opportunity. They are going after the Baron. They know they have to do a big play to get back in the game.
And Palafox is still farming the blue buff because he has 3k gold. He's trying to finish his IE, but he's not here.
Okay, the Baron's already down to 4,000. Shopify Rebellion trying to step up in a 3v5, but the Baron has already been claimed. 100 Thieves find a big pick onto Fudge. They find the Baron right after. Shopify don't get anything back. That might be exactly what they needed.
Really? And they decided to make this call. Palafox isn't going to join. He had teleport up and available, but he's farming jungle camps while they are doing the Baron here. Because he was sitting on so much gold, he wanted to complete the full IE. He just had the crit cloak. He does get the Infinity Edge, but you lose the Baron. And you have to wonder, you know, could he have gotten over there and maybe tried to contest? if they feel like they're going to lose either way, then, well...
Oh, nice interrupt there on the recall. Palafox finding Quid. Defensive ulti there from the Azir. He will stay alive. The Soul Unbound timer ran out before Palafox could get the last auto attack or Q, whichever one would have hit first to secure the kill. So Quid escapes, stays alive for now. That was Palafox's flash and ulti used to try to make that catch.
Yeah, so no flash, no ult, and the Dragon is up in 30, right? So now this is their attempt at Soul here. 100 Thieves have got to be able to try to stop this, prevent the Soul from being taken. Palafox is going to keep pushing up in that top lane, and 100 Thieves, I think, are just going to kind of have to let him do it. Dhokla has no teleport, Quid has no teleport, so they just have to be at the Dragon, start this right on spawn. It feels like Shopify, as a result, maybe making the call to just give up the Dragon. Seo's in trouble.
Yeah, River engages, but it's only onto an Alistar, ready to go with ulti. Bvoy fires off the True Shot Barrage. Seo is still at plenty of HP, while Palafox is taking down the inhibitor turret up there in the top lane. 100 Thieves, yeah, they've got control of the bot side, River, but again, they have to start the Dragon right now. It's going to begin. They've already got it down to half HP. We'll see if 100 Thieves can secure it. Yes, they will. Mountain Drake is theirs. Dhokla makes his way back into the base. He will be able to defend the inhibitor, but the turret itself is gone. That inhib will be exposed for the rest of the game.
Yeah, that is going to be annoying, but at the end of the day, you don't even lose the inhib. Not that big of a deal. And they prevent the Soul from going through. And yes, Palafox still really, really strong, but Quid is becoming a real threat here. Quid is now level 16. Yeah. He has 3 items. He has a large rod working in towards the death cap. If he gets that, he is going to be such a problem. And FBI has his Infinity Edge also, so FBI's damage at this point cannot be ignored. They are really not that tanky over on the Shopify side. Palafox, yes, he has a tiny bit of armor here from the Steel Sigil, but if you go in and you get CC'd up, you could still get 100-0.
I mean, there's no true tank on the side of Shopify. You have Alistar with ulti, but in terms of your actual front line, you've got an Ambessa, Bruiser, and you've got Maokai, who's building AP Bruiser. Nobody is going to stand tall in the face of a fourth shot from Infinity Edge Jhin, as 100 Thieves have about 10 seconds left in the Red Bull Baron power play, trying to get some value out of that. Dhokla is going to be sent back to try to deal with Fudge. Only the cannon minion left alive down here in the bottom lane. 100 Thieves, yeah, the next minion wave is ready to crash into the turret, but the Baron buff is now gone. Dhokla dealing with Fudge up there in the top side. He does not have his teleport, and Fudge does. Fudge making his way over now with a TP. It'll be a 4v5 if 100 Thieves get engaged on, and Fudge is swooping around from the side. Sun Disc also about to expire. Eyla's going to be the first one killed. Fate sealed from Palafox. River's knocked up into the air as 100 Thieves trying to fight back, but they can't find anything. Shopify Rebellion. Big moves coming out from Fudge, but Quid's ready to turn it around. Shut down over to FBI. Fudge about to drop next. Quid goes on a killing spree, and 100 Thieves try to fight back. Quid finally falls. FBI's getting away, but the True Shot Barrage cuts him down before he can fire the fourth shot.
Yeah, that is really big here for Shopify, but the question is how much can they get off the back of this? 100 Thieves kind of made that fight go for a lot longer than you were going to think it would. Seo's keeping back out on the map. They do have a wave down here on bot side, so they can at least get the tier 2 bot. The question is how much more can they get? Because there's no big objectives up for them to grab. There's nowhere for them to just run straight and get this huge advantage. And so it is just going to be Palafox getting further and further ahead. He is so rich at this point, and he's got to be sitting on a lot of gold once again. Yeah, he has GA money whenever he wants it. This is just good macro play. They forced Dhokla down towards that bot side. They weren't willing to just give up the inhib and allow the Nexus towers to be threatened. But as soon as that happens, they're going to get TP'd on. And Eyla knows that he tries to find an angle for the Cosmic Binding. Fudge does not give it to him. Even with that public execution missing, River just knows, okay, I'm going to die. I need to buy as much time as possible here for FBI and Quid to try to get something back. And they know they cannot run out. You have to fight your way out if you're going to get out 400 Thieves. So Quid and FBI stand, they fight, they try to get back as much as they can. They do get 2 kills. And an attempt on the sidestep here, but the sapling with the assist on the slow. It is a 4 for 2 at the end of the day. Nicely done by Shopify, but the game goes on. And the next objective on the table here is going to be Baron in a minute, and then the Dragon here in 140, which again will still be Soul Point for Shopify, of course. But it could be also 100 Thieves moving to Soul Point of their own. And if you give Mountain Soul over to a team that, is the kind of squad that 100 Thieves have, it is going to be really hard for the Yone and the Ambessa to kind of dive through and burst through that. And Quid just finished his death cap, so that is massive.
Quid finished Death Cap. Guardian Angel is done for Palafox, like you mentioned. Also, Spear of Shojin completed for Bvoy. Means as long as Ezreal is hitting Q, it does not have a cooldown. He will just be casting that as fast as he can cast it. As soon as it hits, the next one is ready to fire, and it's very, very difficult to deal with. Yes, you have a big, powerful front line in terms of the Sion, but if Bvoy just gets to shoot him 15 times in a row, well, it doesn't matter how tanky.
Then he'll break that shield.
Yeah. Eventually, the shield does fall. 1,344 HP just from Soul Furnace, by the way.
Like
Sion, very tanky champion.
It's a tanky boy for sure, but yeah, no, all jokes aside, it is going to be, definitely possible to punch through him, and GA, as expected, has been purchased up by Palafox. He was sitting on like 2,400 gold, so went back, does complete that, and they are on the Baron. Hunter Thieves got to approach, but Bvoy getting some good chunk down on the Quid to start the fight.
Yeah, Palafox and Contractz. Palafox does so much damage, they can easily just two-man the objective. So 100 Thieves is going to start trying to take the fight. Contractz fires the ulti backwards. Curtain call from FBI. They're looking to focus down Fudge. Public execution ain't getting a whole lot just yet, but the fourth shot needs to come through. Fudge staying alive while Quid's about to die. The stasis will end here in only a moment, and Contractz takes the kill. 100 Thieves are scattered. Shopify will claim themselves a Baron, plus the enemy mid laner dead for the next 45 seconds.
I loved how Bvoy, Seos, and Fudge were able to play that. They effectively had to play a 3v5 while their teammates sold a dragon.
Okay, Palafox going in after FBI here. Soul Unbound goes very far forward. Last turret shot nearly gets the Guardian Angel, but close ain't close enough. As Bvoy continues, stepping up just a little bit further here, fishing for those Mystic shots. Wants to take down the turret. A couple more hits will do it, and Bvoy takes more money for the Rebellion. They're up almost 6,000 gold now, and the Mountain Soul is clean.
Yeah, that feels like the straw that broke the camel's back there for sure. They get the Baron, they get the kills, they get the Soul, and now 100 Thieves, I think, are just not going to have enough to deal with what Shopify have built up at this point. It is a massive lead, 6K plus a good 4,000 worth of stats from that Mountain Soul. It's going to make it so hard for them.
4,000 worth of stats from the Soul. You got about an extra 2,000 in stats from the Flower bonus that they have. Remember, they claimed the Otacon all that time ago.
Like a 12K lead.
Yeah, Shopify is just so far ahead now. 100 Thieves would have to pull off some kind of a miracle to come back into the game. Palafox jumps over the wall, Soul Unbound, a little bit of damage, immediately snaps right back as soon as River goes for a potential combo on him. True Shot Barrage nearly kills Quid. That Ezreal ulti is real strong right about now.
Yeah, it is looking powerful. They're looking now for River.
Yeah, River having to flash away on the Jarvan. Losing that summoner spell is so critical right now. For 100 Thieves, we're talking about you need a miracle to have any kind of a chance. Part of that miracle is a big engage, but the engage belongs to Shopify Rebellion. The turret is already gone and FBI is already dead. The Shurima Shuffle's not going to do a damn thing. Bvoy is dominating, and 100 Thieves will crumble. The last sand buckles before the might of Shopify Rebellion. And are they even going to lose a single man? It does not look like it. Nobody even got hurt, Azael. And Shopify with the last bits of Dhokla's Sion body fading away. Shopify is going to tie this one up. They'll take game 2, and we're heading to a third game here in this first best of 3 of the weekend.